Brad Garlinghouse just said something that hits very differently if you've been watching this space for a long time. Not a price prediction, not hype, confirmation. If you've been focused on infrastructure instead of charts, on payments activity instead of the headlines, this post isn't surprising to you at all. It's validating. Today, sorry, I got my days mixed up already. Today, I want to break down what exactly Brad said and why it matters right now, and how it fits into the long-term view of what we're actually building out. Because in this market, confirmation always comes last. We've determined this by now, and it doesn't happen until after the system is already in place. So this is a little impromptu stream on a Saturday, so I appreciate everyone who hops into the stream. Keep the chat going as you come in. I go through and do a live Q&A as soon as I get to the end of everything. But we are here today to celebrate with Brad. Yes, we are going to celebrate with Brad, and I'm going to show you why, because I swear to me, it feels like the biggest endorsement of this channel that I am on the right track. And I know he wasn't talking to me, but I want to enjoy it with all of you. And we're going to hop into it here in just a minute. But first, as always, let's go ahead and hop into the chart. And I see you guys coming into the chat. I appreciate it. We will get into everything. I don't have a ton of news today. We've covered it all, but we'll retouch on a lot of the stuff that has happened over this week. So price is at 209. We are still battling to keep EMA. That is going to be our determination if this is going to potentially break out to an all-time high or fall down to $1.75. That is why we watch the price. But again, we're here for the long view, and the long view is going to be more important than ever. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the ETF inflows yesterday. Let's see if this is refreshed here. Yesterday, looks like we still had $25 million worth of inflows. So ETFs still bringing in the money regardless of what is happening with the price. Again, ETF buying and selling does not dictate price. We've talked about that at length. But moving into what's actually happening in the, in the grand scheme of things today, Polygon still up big over the last 24 hours. They're up 20%. XRP, everything else is kind of muted. Zcash took a big hit. Hype's taking a slight hit. But again, I don't know what's going on with Polygon. I'm gonna have to look into. Anyone know? Anyone in the chat? I don't really follow Polygon, so anyone in the chat know what's pumping Polygon right now? Without further ado, let's hop into the ETFs. Let's see what actually got pulled out of supply yesterday. Franklin Templeton was at 131 million. We'll refresh and see where they are now. 131 million went to 134 million, so 3 million added by Franklin Templeton. Let's take a look at Grayscale. They were at 128 million. And another million, so we're up to 4 million. I'll do my head math as we go through, everybody. Canary Capital was at 179, so 4 million plus what? Another million, so 5 million plus Bitwise was at 144. And now they are up to 144, so no change for Bitwise, and 21 shares was at 118, and they're currently at 118, so no change. So another 5 million added to the ETFs. And again, we can always follow through and look and see exactly what is locked into ETF supply. But what I want to focus on today is Brad Garlinghouse. So let's see what Brad Garlinghouse had to say. I'm sure most of you have probably heard by now. He came out 20 hours ago, but he said, and I'll read it to you: "Happy belated New Year. I just hit send on Ripple's quarterly shareholder email to say that 2025 and Q4 were successful for Ripple. Feels like saying Tom Brady was just a great quarterback to go." So their year was fantastic. "Our two major acquisitions, Ripple Prime and G Treasury, greatly accelerated and expanded our ability to deliver on our vision, enabling the Internet of Value. XRP has been and will continue to be the heartbeat of that vision." Again, validating the XRP holders. If you believe Brad, again, this is why we know what we hold. We know the risk that is associated with XRP. But if you believe Brad and you believe Ripple, they do have our interest at heart. "With truly the most comprehensive licensing portfolio, and now today UK's EMI license added, we are poised to make 2026 even more consequential." So they're expecting a bigger year in 2026 than they had in 2025. Don't forget, they hit new all-time highs in 2025. They had over $4 billion of acquisitions and multiple partnerships in 2025. They're expecting 2026 to be bigger. Building and using crypto infrastructure, updating our global financial plumbing, and rethinking legacy systems. None of this happens overnight. At Ripple, we are excuse me, let me get this part right. At Ripple, we're going to continue to take the long view of what crypto-based assets like XRP and RLUSD can do, rather than chasing cycles and hype. Brad is on board for the long view approach to crypto. Nothing can be more validating for me. If you're looking at the name of the channel, nothing can be more validating for me. But he says, bring on 2026. We are firing on all cylinders. I quote, it is happening. What do you guys think? Is he signaling a bull run for XRP? We're hearing all these things about super cycles and everything else for XRP right now. Again, we're in this for the long view. What's going to happen a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? But it's really hard not to get pumped up when you see stuff like that coming out from the CEO of Ripple, talking directly about XRP being the heartbeat of what they're doing. I don't know. I'm waiting for an appreciation. I don't know about you guys, but overall market structure, overall market sentiment is still sitting at a neutral. We're at 51. Again, we're going to have a ruling on tariffs on January 14th. We have the potential Clarity Act getting processed on We have the potential Clarity Act getting discussed on the 15th and hopefully voted on this month. If not, again, we're talking about a coin flip on if anything's going to happen with the Clarity Act this month. However, we are still looking at a 23 to 24% chance right now of a looming government shutdown at the end of the month, that they can't get everything figured out in terms of healthcare is the major thing that's holding everything up as far as that goes. We've had major news all week, right? EMI license in the UK. Evernorth partnering with Doppler Finance to expand XRPL adoption. Okay. All of this stuff is continuing to happen. CNBC coming out calling XRP the hottest crypto of 2026. The time could not, the sentiment from an infrastructure base, from an institution base, ETFs with record inflows over the last 2 months while the price was falling. Okay. Institutionally and in the grand scheme of things, I don't see how it could be more bullish for Ripple and XRP right now without the price going through the roof. I mean, if the price starts going through the roof, obviously we'll understand that. But again, I don't think we're going to see a moon until we see payments activity on Ledger. We talk about that real quick. We'll touch on it. I don't think we're going to see a moon until we see payment activity actually happening on Ledger. We've been following the account set activity. Again, it's been spiked and maintained for the last 2 months, more than the entire history of the Ledger. This is accounts coming online, getting permissions set, getting their on and off ramp set up, all of those things. Account set historically has transitioned to payments. Transition to payments data throughout the history of the Ledger. It is delayed, right? You're going to see a spike in account set, and then you should see a ramp up in payments. That's what we're looking for next. We have the largest account set spike activity and sustained activity in the history of the Ledger. We should see, hopefully in the near future, that translate to increased payments volume. Increased payments volume will appreciate price. I feel confident in saying that. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. I'm just an idiot on YouTube, like several of the others. But I research this every day. That's what I think and believe. I present you the information so you can come up with your own opinion and your own thesis. Chat's being kind of quiet today. If you guys could let me know how many people are in the stream, I'm going to go ahead and hop into the chat. It's a Saturday. It's chill. I just want to talk with you guys today. Hopefully we can grow the stream, but right now price is muted. There's no real news going on. We're just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen as far as building out. Gosh, my eye. I did a stream the other day. My nose was itching. Now I got something in my eye. I can't catch a break. But as we continue to figure out which way price is going to teeter with EMA 9, then it's just kind of a wait and see approach. But I wanted to come on and talk with you guys about everything going on with Brad Garlinghouse. I mean, that blew up X yesterday, if you guys were paying attention to it at all. I guess I should have done a video on it yesterday. It probably would have performed a lot better. But Pam Stamper is in the house. He said, "What's up, homie? Thank you for taking your time to be here, Pam Stamper." Raul made it. He's in the house today. Kevin Hawthorne's in the house today. Let's see here. Pam Stamper said, not I. Not sure what you're saying, not I to. And D Money said, Jake is suing Zach for 30 million. Yes, I heard about that. It's, it's a sad thing, unfortunately, that it's, in that position with them right now. But I was actually in the stream watching Zach when he was going off about all this, and literally probably sent 10 messages in the chat telling him to stop. I was like, you don't want to go down this path. There's no way it ends well for you. I mean, it's bringing him attention, don't get me wrong, but not the kind of attention you want in this circle. I mean, at least in my opinion. So I wish them both the best. I got no ill will for any of them. They've both helped grow the community. I mean, some of the narratives that were set out there have misled quite a few people, but unfortunately they did help grow the community at the same time. Oh, you didn't understand what was going on with Pauly. Yeah, I don't know. Let's look at that real quick. I'm just going to hang out with you guys. Honestly, I don't really have anything going on right now. I'm probably going to watch football here in a little bit. I mean, I can't sit here and watch the game with you guys on the live stream. They frown upon me streaming the NFL. But let's see here. I'll probably put that on here in a little bit, but I wanted to take a minute and share that with you. I thought it was fun. It's a Saturday. D Money says, yeah, I like both guys. Wish they realized they were hurting the community. Yeah. And I do content on here too. I can understand how they can get wrapped up. It's a reward based system. The way YouTube is set up, like it rewards storytelling, it rewards clickbait titles, it rewards keyword abuse, essentially. And I try to use it in the best way I can possible by still being relevant. But you have to do it to a certain extent. You have to understand what people are clicking on, what people are searching. It sucks, but there's a way I feel like you can deliver the content. Some of it went too far, I believe, for both of them. Again, my opinion, not fine, and they can, what do I know? I've probably got 10 people in this stream. But I think they both went a little too far with it. Anywho, on a positive note, I have reached out to a few people, and I think I have got some collaborators set up for the near future. We'll see how that goes. I'm still working it out, but I am in communication with a couple of people. Hopefully it plays out, but we'll see what happens from that. I think it'll be interesting. Aside from that, Polygon, that's what I was going to look at. What is pumping Polygon? Polygon news, Polygon-matic news. What is pumping Polygon? Rallies 33%. Yeah, I know it's rallied 33%, but why? I mean, I know better than the Google why this price is up, because whenever people do that with XRP and it tells you 20 different things that I know aren't true. But let's see what this says. It says Polygon launches open money stack to boost stablecoin payment adoption. A high level of investor confidence has indicated a record burn by Polychain on-chain action reaches 1.4 billion transactions, stimulating price. So they're having transaction increase. Okay. So they are having increase by utility. Shocking. So increased transactions. So again, we are waiting to see increased transactions on XRP Ledger. That's what I've been following. So Polygon, for those of you who are maybe joining late, I doubt it. There's only a few people in here, but Polygon, if we look at this here, is up 20% over the last day. Turns out it is, and I actually believe this statement, turns out that it is increasing based on payment activity, which is what we expect to see on the XRP Ledger when we do get payment activity. We're looking at payment activity. Why? Because we've had this account set spike activity. Account sets lead to payments. Welcome, George. Welcome, Holt Casting. I see you guys in there. For those of you who came in late, I'll go ahead and hop into this. There's only a few people. George, if you could let me know how many people are in the stream, I'd appreciate it. But since I had a couple people come in late, this is kind of a low-key stream, if you will. But the main reason I wanted to come on here is because Brad Garlinghouse himself was talking about the long view approach to crypto. Building and using crypto infrastructure, updating our global financial plumbing, and rethinking legacy systems. None of this happens overnight. At Ripple, we're going to continue taking the long view of what crypto-based assets like XRP and RLUSD can do, rather than chasing cycles and hype. Bring on 2026. We are firing on all cylinders. It is happening. So again, if you are finding this channel for the first time, it's a smaller stream. It's a Saturday. It was just kind of a whim thing. But if you're finding this channel for the first time, we are here for the long view. Not what XRP is today or a week from now, but what it's going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. This is a long view approach to crypto investing as a whole. Again, not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, but I want to be very clear on what I represent here. I come in every single day, Monday through Friday at noon. I give news updates. I present the news. I give ETF inflows and outflows, and we do a brief technical analysis on the chart to see where we're at and what we can expect. But it's mainly for context because we are here for what it's going to be 10 years from now. Then when I do my streams at the end of it, I go into a live Q&A and I talk to every single person in the chat. Again, Monday through Friday at noon. That's what we do. But a quick recap for anyone who came in late. Price is still sitting right around 208. We're battling. Oh, let me pull up the price. You guys want to see that. Price is still sitting at 208, 209. We are battling to overtake the EMA 9 on the 1 week chart. This is important because if you go back and look at every single breakout that has happened on XRP, this one right here, this big one right here, this one right here, and then you can actually go on further back and look at the other previous breakouts. But it all happens when we bust through EMA 9 with volume, every breakout. So we were starting to really look at this when we ran all the way up to 240. It looked like we were making that breakthrough EMA 9. We came back and we tested EMA 9. So right now, if this closes underneath, and it could fall down to our support of $1.75. I don't know why. Yeah, $1.75. So it could fall back to our support of $1.75. Why is this our support? Because there has been mass levels of buying at this level, and we have tested it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and it's still holding. Okay. So again, this is where that $3.1 billion purchase was back in November. And then I think there was another $2 billion purchase back there on October 10th at the $1.77 level. So there's a lot of money sitting there to catch it if it falls. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. So if we do pull back, we're looking at a retest in that. We covered the ETFs, right? 781 million XRP locked into ETF vaults with 1.6 billion in total value. Inflows yesterday, again, only 1 day of outflows the entire history of the ETFs, and that seems to be carrying some weight. It said 19.3 million on this day right here. Again, not sure how they determine this. I'm seeing reports of like 40 million XRP and ETF outflows, things like that. But it looks like, according to this, we had 1 day with 19.3 total outflows and still finished positive for the week at 14.3 million XRP removed and locked into trust. So overall, bullish for XRP. We do go through and check every single day and see what is physically being removed daily. I'm starting to phase that out. Seems like it's getting kind of stale. We might just check once real quick and see what's under management and move on to other crypto. We cover the XRP account set activity. Spike and maintenance for the last 2 months. We're waiting to see an increase in payments volume. That's what comes next. Accounts, then payments. We need to see the volume. We talked about Brad Garlinghouse confirming the long view approach to crypto-based assets. We talked about the fear and greed index still sitting at neutral. However, in December, we were talking now, again, not financial advice, but if you were in the streams in December, we were saying when we are at extreme fear and there's blood in the streets, now is the time to buy. When we were looking at this fear and greed index, when it was a 4, a 6, and a 10, and everyone was freaking out, and I was like, now is the time to buy. Now is the time to buy. We should buy right now. Again, not financial advice. I can't give you financial advice, but when there is fear and blood in the streets, it is usually a good time to start stacking. Silver hit $80 again. Now I think this is important distinction. So on the 14th, real quick, let me hop out of here. On the 14th, we're going to rule on tariffs. Okay. You're hearing a lot of mixed signals on this. Here's how this is going to work. If tariffs are overruled and found illegal, that will be actually, everyone's saying it's going to crash the market. That will actually be good for risk on assets. It will be a rotation because it stabilizes the market. Right now, the fear and uncertainty, they don't like tariffs. The global economy hates tariffs. And so if our US government said, nope, we're not going to do this and we're going to go back to the old way of doing things, that is going to bring a lot of breath to the market. Okay. It'd be like the market sitting on the couch and just letting out that deep exhale at the end of the day. Like, okay, we can relax and go back to normal. So if the tariffs are overruled, I believe we actually see a pump on risk assets. I think we'll see a cycle out of precious metals. Now, if they are upheld, I think we see precious metals boom. Again, not financial advice, but we would also, if they are upheld, see a rotation out of risk assets, right? Opposite must be true. So none of that's financial advice, but let me hop into the chat for the rest of the people who came in here today. And please engage in the chat if you're in the stream. I know there's only a few people here, but I appreciate every single one of you for taking your time to be here. I didn't schedule the stream and there's really no news to speak of, but I wanted to share the long view approach to crypto with you all. George said hello from the UK. Welcome, George. Appreciate you making it. Hulk said win Bugatti. For me, I can start worrying about that stuff when we see like $10. Then I can start worrying about buying stuff if I want. Hulk Casting Couch said, I was hoping he would say the toilets are hooked up in the new plumbing. Time to start shutting on the pool. Yeah, flush it down the toilet, right? I mean, that's pretty much what's been going on. Holt Cassie said, but tariffs are normal. America just pays more than everyone else. Yes, you're right, but who pays for the US tariffs? We do, right? The person buying the goods and services. Tariffs are another form of taxes, right? So we end up paying for it on the back end. So when they put super high tariffs on the stuff from China, China has to bump up their price, makes us have to make a decision, right? China stuff isn't cheap anymore. Is it better to buy American? You remember back in the 50s and 60s, like the good old days, if you will. I wasn't alive back then, but I know history. In the 50s and 60s, right? I just completely lost my train of thought. Holy crap. Oh man, stroke brain today. But in the 50s and 60s, everything was manufactured in the United States, right? We weren't really so much worried about being an importer of goods. We were the exporter. We did manufacturing. Over the last 50, 60, 70 years, we are not a manufacturing company anymore. We couldn't support ourselves if we had a global economic crisis. We don't have all the things. Like there'd be a transition period. It would be a crisis. So, I mean, when you get into the grand scheme of macroeconomics and tariffs from this country and tariffs from that country and yada yada, taxes and everything else, it can be a little bit overwhelming, but there's so many moving pieces that one thing affects the other in so many different ways. But tariffs being ruled on next week is going to have a part to play in how these prices are going to react. And especially while we're deciding if we're going to have strength now or weakness now based on the chart. So again, that's my opinion. Anyone else have anything to say? I'll stall a little bit longer, but I'm out of information at this point. I hope you guys are all here for the long view approach to crypto. Anyone who came in late. Again, I've been reaching out. I've been expanding. I've been getting into chats with, other live streamers trying to get the word out there and grow the long view and get away from the hype cycle noise that we are trying to avoid. Tariffs bring back manufacturing. That is the idea. That is the basis. That is the base idea of tariffs, to balance imports and exports. But right now, when you're talking about, that's the very basic element of it. But when you're talking about investing and how much money, like think of all the leverage these people are playing with. So when you have a massive shift in something, billionaires don't like to lose all their money. Especially when those billionaires are propping up stuff with debt and they're propped up on debt. And if this billionaire goes under, all these jobs are gone, right? So it gets very complicated. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as we would like it to be. I mean, it really is as simple as we would like it to be, but it would cause a lot of suffering, honestly. Seals Q, have you seen it? No, I can't say I have. I can't say I have. But that is all the information I have for you today. You guys are kind of quiet today, so I guess I'm gonna get off here and go watch some football. But I'll see you guys on Monday. Monday I'll be back at noon live streaming. And Hulk said they use HBAR for part of technology. Oh, okay, cool, cool. All right. I mean, I'm invested in HBAR. I haven't heard about that. I'll have to take a look deeper into that. So I am informed. So I appreciate that. But again, appreciate everyone's time. I know it's a smaller stream, but just wanted to say hi and give you guys the information that we did have. Okay. So I'll see you guys at noon on Monday. I'll talk to you later.